Hello to anybody watching. I'm not sure if anybody's here in the chat. I can't see that right now. Anyway, today I'm going to be diving into my animated film. I've been doing a lot of stuff. Since it's a one-man operation, I've been jumping around. I've been doing a lot of audio lately. And I've gotten to a point where I need to start really honing in on some of the character designs. I've done a bunch of storyboards where I've just kind of drawn shapes or stick figures and things like that, and sort of rudimentary character designs. So I'm going to start tightening those up. Yeah, so hey Dylan. Dylan's here. So let's see. Let me get over to the iPad and let's get rid of that. Why is it not showing up? That's wonderful. Oh, there we go. Okay. So this first scene here that I'm going to be doing, it's there's 3 characters in it. And when I do character designs, you want to kind of base everything on the silhouette, the shapes, to kind of differentiate characters. It kind of, shapes kind of give like the tone of certain characters, things like that. So I've got a character kind of based on a circle. Next character, kind of a lanky rectangle. And then the main character is, maybe these are, do that. The main character that I'm not sure it might be a little big, but the main character is like that in comparison. And this one I'll probably only show on Patreon, since he's, our title character, the main character, probably going to be the draw for the show. Anyway, when I was kind of testing out to see if things were working out for this stream, kind of sketched out this. So this guy is this circle here. Little guy. Little background on him. He's the mayor of this town. He acts like a proud man, but deep inside he's kind of a scaredy cat. But he always wants to do the right thing, regardless. So anyway, he's not a bad guy. He's got his faults, like we all do. So this dude here, our mayor, kind of basing some of the characters, because I want this film to have a feeling as if it was made in the 60s, 1960s. It's a little bit how do I describe it? A little bit gritty. I'll just leave it there for now. I don't want to give too much away just yet. But that said, if anybody has any questions about what I'm doing with this film, working as the entire production crew for the most part, I'm hoping to get some friends to do some voiceovers for some of the characters, so it's not all me. There is kind of a predominant female character, and I don't want to have to use AI for one, and 2, I don't want to make some mockery of my version of how women sound. Got Jim Lujan here. Said Dylan's here. Thank you guys for joining. Dylan asked, "How are you this morning?" I'm doing pretty good. I'm glad to be doing this again, and kind of bummed because I want to do this all day. But You know, just the way the world is right now, and uh, you know, I haven't regained an art career, so I'm a little bit bummed. I'm on a limited time schedule, so I can go out and get the lunch rush to deliver food to the increasingly rude Morlocks that are out there. So anyway, so let's get into this. So anyway, I do enjoy the action uh, cartoons, animation, Saturday morning cartoons from the 1960s that Hanna-Barbera did. I like Alex Toth's designs. Um, but I'm going to try to make this a little cartoony because there's kind of offbeat humor in this cartoon that I'm making here. And I want it to be not super difficult to animate, considering I don't have a team. But and if you've watched me in the past, you probably know I do like that mid-century illustration and design. So this guy is kind of based on like what's his name, Mister was it Spacely Sprockets, Mister Spacely, um, and but a little bit more squatty maybe. Also the proprietor at the pet store, I can't remember his name. Um, Actually, I could look it up real quick because I've got a reference book of Hanna-Barbera art here. Mr. Pebbles from McGillet Gorilla. Also, here, I'll switch over real quick. This guy's a little bit more mean looking, but this is from a sketchbook, and I'm kind of go for a face that's a little bit, let's see if I can get this correct. This guy right here. Um, not so angry looking. Maybe not the monobrow. I think the monobrow is pretty expressive, especially for an angry type character. Um, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna figure this out right now. But I do like the nose, kind of a piggy nose. Um, there's gonna be kind of like, let's see, sort of an ascot-esque kind of tie here. Fits into a vest. A little collar there. Probably goes under his jowls. Let's see. Forgot the vest there. So, I don't know if I've said it before, but if you've seen the ends of my main videos, there's a bit of a kind of a trailer, I guess, for Patreon. And so you can probably guess that it's kind of a Western. So I guess when I was saying gritty, I'm thinking kind of spaghetti Western type stuff. There's also an influence from classic horror movies. But ultimately it's action adventure and it's silly. I don't know if there's going to be laugh out loud humor, but it's definitely offbeat. Stuff that makes me smile, at least. It's also pretty violent. I'm thinking about doing kind of something like what they would do with old classic horror and show that off screen, just because, as I've been doing these deliveries and stuff, I don't know if I'll tell these stories today, but just the way people are these days, and I don't know, everything's just so negative and violent, and I got in a fist fight doing deliveries. I never thought in my 50s I'd be getting in fist fights. I used to do that when I was very young. Got attacked by a dog and got laughed. It was kind of laughed about by the owner. Road rage incident. Somebody followed me. I had no idea that I had done any kind of discrepancy. This was just the summer. Yesterday I got flipped off. I have no idea why. And oh yeah, and then someone tried to start a fight with me because I stopped my car while they were going the wrong way down a one-way road, and I didn't know what the hell they were doing because they were coming in hot. So this is just, some incidents this summer, and I've just been noticing. I didn't mean to go on this tangent. Just been noticing just, how awful people have been becoming. Like, it's been a while. I think the pandemic kind of helped people get shittier in the internet also. Um, but just lately, it just really ramped up. Let's see. So I'm doing this real sketchy for now. What I'm going to do is uh, change the opacity on this afterwards, and I'll kind of tighten it up. Sometimes what I do when I'm trying to make something cartoony, I make it semi-realistic, and then I'll go over the top of that. Kind of, I don't know, that doesn't seem right to me. And then I'll kind of go over the top of that and just kind of pick the most crucial lines, especially for this. This is, it's going to be full animation. There's going to be a lot of trickery, though, to make it a little bit easier. Um, I think I might have mentioned this before. I'm going to probably do some of that like anime trick where you have like a static character and a background, and you move them both together. I'm going to do a lot of Hanna-Barbera type stuff where, say, like this body right here might be static for a while, where his head just bobs around, or maybe just the eyes and the mouth move, things like that. So I'm going to be trying to do cut corners, but use that as maybe cutting corners is the wrong way. Use limitations to be more creative. That sounds a little nicer, right? So let's see. Let's look up here. Corey Kerr's here. Hey, buddy. Nice to see you. Let's look here. Corey, hi, Corey. All right. Nothing. Kevin mentioned Ascot. How was this make? Oh, okay. Yeah. Um, when I was speaking of Ascots, when I was in the band Pitch Black, we were kind of touted as this horror punk band, and I love Vincent Price. I just love his delivery, the way he speaks. I used to go to sleep to him reading Edgar Allan Poe a long time ago. Um, so anyway, we started wearing priest dickies and black blazers and stuff like that as we'd spit blood all over the place and stuff like that. And but one thing at first, I was thinking that I might wear an ascot and do kind of a Vincent Price kind of look. So it's almost like we were like dandies who would kick your ass. Well, that was the idea with that anyway. Okay, so also kind of thinking ahead of time about color. I'm gonna, every character's gonna kind of have its kind of base color, and then that'll change slightly depending on the background or the mood of the scene. Yeah, so let's see. We're trying to make this easy. There's. All right, I think I mentioned this takes place in the Old West, the American frontier, or a little after the frontier, I suppose. And I mean, would he wear a sash? Kind of covers the ascot. That might make things a little easier to animate, actually. We can put red, white, and blue on it, maybe. I know, the stereotype. You see the sash and things like purple and gold. Maybe that's another option. There are some there's a group of characters that I've already designed that are predominantly purple, but he's not in a scene with any of them. I don't want to put mayor. I know the stereotype, you'd say the mayor or something, whatever on there, but I don't want to animate text when his body moves, because let's see. What if, like the ascot look, what if he wears a pin badge that's kind of like this, and then I put, red, white, and blue here. That seems more official. Obviously I'm a fan of history and the Old West. My dad was just crazy about the Old West, and at the time I was just so bored, and now I love it. Especially being from the West Coast and living in the West Coast, I can see it. And it's, and I've been to a bunch of ghost towns. There's a ghost town I want to go to. Excuse me, I need a coffee. There's a ghost town I want to go to that's fairly close to me. And do one of my art and adventure videos, which there's 2 in the can, or not in the can, they're not finished, but that were filmed also this summer. And this is a third one, place I want to go to. It's got some ghost stories as well as just being a ghost town. Not super big believer in the supernatural, but I'm sure entertained by it. And it seems alright. I'm liking it so far. A face. I know I want, the mid-century like nose like that, kind of a piggy nose. And this nose, I'm thinking about doing this on a lot of the characters where there's not black line. You just get color to fill in the shapes. Almost like, not quite Samurai Jack, but, something like that. I like that look in comics a lot. So, it'd be filled in kind of like this shape. Actually, why did I do that? That looks pretty good. So he's a proud. How do I make him look? No. Well, we'll leave the monobrow for now. Do I give him just dots for eyes? Let's use that as an option. I look kind of mean a little bit. He's not a mean guy, this character. So he's gonna have big old baggy eyes. I know that. Let's do a little chat check here. Hanna-Barbera-esque style, Dylan says, for sure. Vincent Price is a classic. One of my friends loves Price, and she makes memes about him all. That's awesome. I love him too. Gunfighters. Yes, there's a gunfight. There's gunfights. Two gunfights. One is real bloody. They're both bloody. What am I saying? One's going to be a challenge because it's a big group gunfight. Maybe he's got. Let's give him friendlier, bigger eyes here. Let's see. I'm looking at the chat again. Hey, Scott Circlin's here. Jim said he downloaded Procreate Dreams. I haven't yet. I'm still working with ToonSquid, and I probably will, at least for this one, just because I've gotten familiar with it now. But I am interested in Procreate Dreams, although it's early enough in the actual art production of this thing that maybe I could use that, because maybe Procreate, which I'm drawing on now, might translate really well to Procreate Dreams instead of having to import stuff all the time, because it's kind of tricky a little bit in ToonSquid, and sometimes it makes it want to crash. So what I'm finding right now with ToonSquid is that I'm probably going to have to finish scenes and then take them off of my iPad, save them all over the place, the scenes, and then leave enough space in the beginning and end so that I can edit at the very end of the whole process, just save room. Let's see here. Okay, so it's looking a little sleepy. Let's try to fix that a little bit. Okay, I hope I can get this character finished to a decent spot before I have to go. So he's going to be jowly. I'm even thinking maybe knocking off that brow ridge, make it even simpler. Maybe I can puff that out there. That's a thing too about animation. There's some animation that I just absolutely love, that is pretty, I don't know, how do you say, like kind of naive, I guess, naive style, which is a lot of times what the mid-century modern stuff, sometimes called primitive, sometimes called naive. Now this is starting to give me an idea, but it's all storytelling, So in an illustration where I might want to go a little more detailed or something like that, I'm kind of trying to do the opposite here. This is his mouth. Do they connect to the jowls? Yes, they do. I was going to give this character a mustache, but he looks like an old baby. Okay, so now I don't like the monobrow idea. Where does arm go? Let's take a look here. I'm trailing off here. That's rad. Speaking of, if anybody, look, I think everybody here in the chat right now knows about this already, but people who might be watching this later, Jim Lujan. Lujan is spelled Lujan. Jim Lujan. Go to his channel. He does some, just speaking of great storytelling, just super, also irreverent animation. And there's a bunch, and right now he's doing a series called That's Rad. Is it called That's Rad, or is that just the sitcom that's in it? Part of the Unicornian universe. Definitely go check that out. Anyway, I do the voice of one of the characters. And I guess he's a prominent character, I'll say. I'm trying not to give too much away. Dylan said giving him a mustache might make him look too much like the Monopoly mascot. Yeah, I probably agree. You know, the let's call it the Charlie Chaplin. For a minute there, I thought I wasn't thinking about it, and I thought, you know, this character might look good with one of those, but oh yeah, the evil German ruined ruined a mustache. Because I was also thinking, this character, uh, like I said, there's sort of his counterpart is that lanky rectangle I was talking about earlier, as far as shapes go. And so there's kind of an Abbott and Costello kind of deal. Yeah, the Unicornians. So it's part of the Unicornians, but um, yeah, in the scenes that pertain to, or the shorts, I suppose, that pertain to the sitcom called That's Rad. On the adult version of The Precocious Kid, and it's pretty funny. I can't wait to see how it all plays out. Uh, Ox is here. He says he does look like he's hiding a bulldog snaggletooth. Bulldog, I do kind of want to go for, but yeah, like I was saying, evil German stole the tiny mustache, so we won't have that. Um, but yeah, I do kind of want Bulldog because he is a politician, even though he's kind of a scaredy cat. He is a very proud man. Let's see, how do I want his? He's more handbar. Let's see. I don't need to do the three fingers of the. Or he's holding a bill. I don't know what his eyebrows look like. I do know I kind of want him to have. Let's see. Higher hairline. Something like that. Maybe he's got one of those kind of hair mustaches. A real deep widow's peak. He's an older fella. He's kind of starting to look a little stately. All right, what does his eyebrows look like? I'm starting to like that. I want to make sure that he is easy. Something I can make easy, very expressive looks with. Because he is. What do I say without giving too much away? Oh, there we go. A little bit higher of a nose. There we go. Like that. Like I said, he's a scaredy cat, so there's a scene where he is insanely spooked, and two little lines. Would that be? No, that's fine to animate. And then there's one where he definitely is acting kind of, like a proud authority figure. So he's more like a fatherly figure because, like I said, he's not a bad dude. I feel like he's kind of one of those characters that are one of those people who probably didn't want to be any kind of leader, and then something happened where he chose to be, but in a way his hand was forced, also kind of thinking that this might have been a time when this takes place in a small old west town. Things are new. it's not very big. There's not very many people, so might be a time when honesty. Although if you read Old West history, that's I'm probably not. It's probably not true, but it was kind of a call to action for him, and he was possibly the best man for it. Um, and later maybe we start getting the main government involved, and maybe statehood where this place is or something comes into play, and that's when things start getting grim for the old mayor here in the town. All right, he needs a bowler hat. Contrary to popular belief, that hat that looks like this or that, that's not. I don't know. I think you get the idea. That's not correct. Bowlers were big, very popular, and then the early cowboy hats just had a straight brim, basically, like that. The main character of this cartoon wears one of those. I think there's a show, Hell on Wheels, that Western series that I liked. That I think they were a little bit more period correct with some of the costuming. How big do I want the bowler to be? Like, cartoony makes me want to do like just a little one like that sits above his head, but there's a scene where and part of what his character traits that you kind of see is he pulls his hat off, and on the brim he just kind of like scrunches it and wiggles his fingers as he's thinking or freaking out over something. Before you go for this project, will you ever make a character sheet or a breakdown for the audience? Jim Lujan is asking. Yes. What my plan to do is something that you did also, is to make a kind of a proper the art of and kind of book where I'm going to do that. It might have to just be a digital book right now unless I can do a Kickstarter or something like that. But nonetheless, and then I'll probably do like, maybe he doesn't have that hair. Well, maybe that hair is just underneath there. Kind of, I don't know, essay sounds boring, but for lack of a better term, just some insights into characters. So I do like that. So that's what his hair looks like underneath. And that's important because that's going to show. That's probably just going to be a shape. When it goes to animation, and probably just do like a couple lines or something like that to make it simple. So bowler kind of wraps around, I guess. Let's just make it an oval to make the animation come out easier. This thing kind of sat straighter up, which doesn't matter too much, because I'm probably try to simplify as much as possible. This might sit lower on his head. You know what? No. Let's see. The magic of digital. I gotta have the crown. Is it tall? That matches that. That matches that. Nope. Huh. I don't think I dig that. Let's see. Let's do another layer. So I'm liking the way he's so far. There's still something about it I don't like, but I'm not quite sure. Maybe it is small. And sits more on top of his head. I feel like he would wear a smaller hat regardless. Give enough brim for his hands to fidget. Alright, how would that? Or maybe he wears a top hat. That was a thing. Maybe it is small and it just... Because really he only wears it in one scene. And he does kind of crumple it up. So, I think of these, like... I'm not mad at that. Back of the head kind of deal. Oops. Yeah, I do kind of think of the backstory of some of these characters that seems okay. Just in case I do more, modern Hollywood these days, and I just mostly don't care about. Is with everything's a franchise and remakes and things like that. I don't mind. I mean, I'm going to contradict myself a little bit here. I liked, when I was a kid, I liked the original Star Wars trilogy. I liked, I guess, Ghostbusters and Gremlins. Back then, I don't know that we were thinking in... Well, I like the Dollars trilogy, which, if you listen to that song that I posted, you can definitely hear Ennio Morricone. That's big influence, the music in the Dollars trilogy. I like the Planet of the Apes. So those, they're all, I guess you could say franchises. I mean, of course, Star Wars and Ghostbusters and, all become giant franchises. But I liked when they kind of had a like an ending, Back in the day when I was a kid, Ghostbusters 2 it was a sequel. The sequel didn't work out. Usually the sequels weren't as good. It seemed like, and I think that's what happened with Ghostbusters. And then they didn't make any anymore, And as time went on, in comparison to, I think, modern movies, I think Ghostbusters 2 now seems like a good movie, but compared to the original, at the time it wasn't, right? So I think of these backstories with these characters not only because I think it'll help me draw them, but also because I do have something in mind. That here's where my contradiction is on franchises. Is I have an idea for a trilogy, but I don't want any more after that, unless Disney can. I'll sell to Disney and then they can ruin it later. All right, something about his eyes. That's a little too weird. Let's go back to the way his eyes were. feel like they need to be rounder somehow. What if I do? I don't know. It looks more friendly. So there's something like he's friendly, but something. And then I can. That's when he's mad. Sorry, I'm getting off track here because I'm thinking about this guy here. Well, let's try. Let's try to hone in a little bit more. See if I can fix that. He's cartoony. Somehow he needs to feel a bit more stately to me, though. Oh, so anyway, where I was going with the trilogy idea is, well, there's a couple ideas, actually. And, I know, I'll let you guys in on a little secret, because I know not very many people watch the live streams. And, I'll give more away on Patreon, but I'll give some stuff away here, too. I have an idea for trilogy, like I said, but I'm presenting them. Right now it's just going to be one. We'll see. It just might be just this one cartoon. I'm presenting it as if it is a trailer for a feature film. So, and I have ideas for the other two to also be trailers. But if you watch them and read between the lines, you get the whole story. The other idea I had is if this took off well enough, then I would make it like a show. Have like chapters, kind of like a old movie serial kind of thing, and fill in the gaps between the scenes that will be in this trailer, which so we'll see. Just ideas for now, but I do want it to have an ending, a final. And and if I do this kind of trilogy thing, I want them to feel satisfying as watches without the others. But you get a bigger story line if you do watch, 1, 2, and 3, but you can watch them out of order, Dylan says, I don't think you're necessarily contradicting yourself. I guess I'm thinking semantics, You're planning out your story into a trilogy is different than creating a franchise just to make money. Yeah, totally. And to be honest, the idea came later. This was an idea that all started as a comic book. And, if you watch past videos, I was talking about how, but then I don't get to use these other artistic or creative disciplines that, like music. And, if I do the comic, it kind of takes me away from that. And, so yeah, originally it was going to be this graphic novel, I guess, just one. And then it got sillier to me. And then, that thought of I want to combine everything that I do into a project so that I can do all the things that I'm interested in creatively. Yeah, and then it was just going to be this, this one cartoon. And it wasn't until, I'm driving around, again, with all the Morlocks out there. And in between, in the quiet moments when I get to, end up going out to the country, because I'm lucky I live in a crap city, but I live close to, I can drive 20 to 30 minutes in almost any direction and be out in nature, which I'm finding I need more and more these days. But where was I going with that? Oh, so those quieter times when I'm on these like lonely roads, I get to think more, and it was just the idea, the plays on, I should say, the actual title, because right now it's presented as Agent Peppermints, which will make more sense as I go through this, but that's not the title of it. Um, I don't want to reveal that for a while. You might see a few of these character designs that I'm doing, but even on Patreon, I think I'm saving the final character design, which I've in a few sketchbooks, so it's done. But what I'm also doing right now is I'm drawing in a way that I can put in that art of book at the end. That's why I'm using my iPad and stuff. But I haven't put him in the iPad. Oh no, that's not true. I did draw him. Anyway, I'm rambling about stuff that I haven't really shared yet. So, uh, where was I? I interrupted myself. Oh yeah. So the trilogy idea came because I was entertaining myself. I like him having smaller bags, by the way. I was entertaining myself on variations of the actual title, and that's when the trilogy came up. I was because then I started like, oh, the main character can go from this to this to this. Um, all taking place in the late 1800s. Probably the last one ends in the very beginning of the 1900s. So it's might be over a 15, maybe 20 to 15 year span of time. Uh, Also, another idea came. I'm sure a lot of you know. I love Conan the Barbarian, and Robert E. Howard. He's just making. He just had a job, right? He's pulp author, and he happened to come along with a character that was um, popular. And he told this: if you read them in order of publication, they're out of order. Of Conan's life. But I do want this to have a time, linear time, I suppose, with the main character. But again, we'll see. I don't know. I don't know if we'll do it. I have. Oh, there we go. That makes him look a little older, a little more stately, I suppose. A little bit less simple, but I don't think that's gonna be a problem to animate. A little more grandfatherly. That's I think that would be a good way to describe this Mr. Mayor here. Um, Sorry, going off what I was going to say again because I interrupt myself so frequently. Um, yeah, I'm kind of dying to tell you what the actual title is, but what I feel like when I was doing 100 Days of Making Comics is that I gave too much away with that comic. That's one of a few things that killed it. I think psychologically it kind of felt like I told the story already. I was still working on it. Alright, so what I'm doing here is I thought I was going to make him a little more realistic from the get-go and then find the lines, but I didn't. I just kind of... So I will go through and ink this. You know what? I'll show you guys something real quick. Uh, Keeping in mind this is a Western, a spaghetti Western. Alright? Let's see. Let me do this real quick so I don't give away anything. right now I'm just trying to find where the heck? Oh, there we go. All right, I'll share this real quick. There we go. So yeah, keep in mind this is a Western. I think you can definitely see the Hanna-Barbera influence here. This was kind of, oh no, this was kind of blatant, kind of on purpose. But yeah, so there's a little sneak peek at these are two different characters, but they all look the same. There's three of them. They're kind of a hive thing. All right, probably I've given away too much. So, all right. Well, unfortunately, I have to go deliver food and try not to get in fist fights, attacked by dogs, get road raged on, get flipped off when someone goes the wrong way down the street, that kind of thing. But yeah, I want to thank you all for joining. Maybe I've got like a couple minutes if anybody's got some quick last questions maybe about the animation or about the film or anything like that. Ox is gonna go tell the internet. Don't give anything away. Just say you know of this auteur who is going to make a face melting film that is going to change the landscape of the entertainment industry. Anyway, thank you, Ox. Thank you, Dylan. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Corey. Thank you, Scott. Did I miss anybody? Nope. Well, thank you all for showing up. And yeah, I'm going to be back as soon as possible. I'm trying not to have to do delivery driving. It's been like 10 to 12 hours a day. It really sucks. And this I want to do this all day. So, but thank you. Really appreciate it. Exact word for word. Right on, Ox. All right. Thanks again, everybody. See you next time.